So what I'm going over this morning is my homemade smoke tester. There's not a whole lot to it. I know these machines online, if you're trying to, if you're using these on a vehicle or something, some of these machines can be upwards of $1,000. There's some floating around on eBay for about 70 or 80 or so. I decided just to build my own. It seemed like a pretty simple project. So it's actually was pretty simple. All I've got here is a paint can, which you can pick up from Lowe's or Home Depot. I think this was $5 or $6 for this can. This is a $5 some soldering gun from Walmart from the automotive section. The propane regulator here reduces the outlet pressure to 1 psi, which you need for this test. You don't want to put too much pressure in there. You could possibly blow out seals or gaskets if you're not careful. This is a 1/4 inch barbed fitting over here with just some cheap vinyl tubing that I also got from Lowe's. And I just epoxied everything together. She don't look pretty, but she gets the job done. So the epoxy was to seal it, because once you get pressure in here, if you don't have a seal on this can, you'll find out pretty quick, because it'll start pouring smoke out everywhere. What I used in the can to generate the smoke is I took an old cotton shirt I had, and I cut it into a long strip. I balled it up and I stuck it in there to where it's in the oil and also on top of the soldering iron. So the way that'll work is that'll work like the wick on a candle, or the wick on an oil lantern. So it'll draw the oil up from the bottom. There's just a bottle of baby oil in here that I got from the drugstore, from CVS, and the heat from the soldering iron will make it smoke. So you just hook your air hose up to here. I regulated the pressure down to about 20 psi going in. That worked out pretty well. You'll kind of hear the can pop when it expands, when you get that one pound of pressure in there, but it's not a big deal. You got to make sure that the lid is nice and secure. You will get a leak through there. I mean, that's it. It's simple. Plug this thing in, don't hook up your air yet. Plug this in, let it get smoky in there. You'll start seeing smoke come out of your regulator connector here, and then you hook your air supply up to it. I don't have a compressor right now. I'm between compressors. So I have my onboard CO2 tank that I use whenever I go wheeling. I hooked up to that with the regulator turned down to 20 pounds, and it worked fine. I was able to find a couple of very small vacuum leaks that I wouldn't have found otherwise. The propane regulator, I did have to kind of modify that from the way it came from Lowe's. All I did was just take the fittings out of both ends and put my own fittings in there. I got these fittings, this is an air compressor fitting I got from the tool section at Lowe's, and the rest of the fittings I used here were in the plumbing section. And I'm pretty sure this vinyl tubing was right next to that in the plumbing section, and it was pretty cheap too. All in all, I've got less than $60 invested in this, if I remember right. It's been a while since I bought the parts to do it, but I want to say it was less than $60. You can go online and buy it off Amazon for not much more. So, I mean, it might be worth it to some people. I wanted to just build one on my own just because. And it worked out fine for me. Did great. Tested this old Jeep, got what vacuum leaks I had figured out, and got it sealed back up, and I've got it here to use later on my Jeep or somebody else's Jeep. And that's it. If you got any questions, post them and I'll answer them.